And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Berlin Raceway here for Trackside Live on Facebook Live as well as on demand on YouTube. I'm Tyler Kuehl alongside Nate Dreyer, two of your race commentators for Flow Racing every Saturday night here at Berlin. Getting ready for what is going to be a fun weekend of racing, but also we got a fun show ahead of us here, Nate.
Yeah, definitely do. Obviously, as most of you know, we won't hold it in suspense a little bit for too long. Erik Jones in a few minutes is going to be joining us, so he'll be able to talk, obviously, about the NASCAR season going on, but especially we're going to get his thoughts on the upcoming battle at Berlin 250, which is getting ever so closer. We're so excited about this weekend and the other action that we have to break down from last week as well, but the crown jewel of the Berlin season is right around the corner.
One of the biggest events, asphalt late model events around the country coming up next month here, just a few weeks' time. And Jones will be one of them. We're expecting big names like Hocevar, Pollard, and more. We'll start releasing names in the coming weeks here. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to see all the big names that are going to be coming out here for that huge race, $40,000 to win. And like we said, folks, we're on Facebook Live. So with Erik Jones coming up, if you have questions about Erik Jones, or if you have an inquiry about the man from Byron, Michigan, throw it in the chat with us. And if you have watching on YouTube, we apologize. But the reason why it's a good thing we're kind of bringing up Erik Jones this week, and not just because it's the Brickyard 400 this weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series, Nate, but it's because we have one of the final two tune-up races for the Tech-10 Super Late models this Saturday night. Kind of right now, tonight, you were here a little bit earlier. We had some guys on the track practicing, getting ready for that race, fine-tuning, because $40,000 is a big thing coming up here. This is what you see this coming Saturday night, 75-lap feature for the super late models. It's a big points race for the series, but like we just mentioned there, Nate, this race is kind of a way for the Berlin regulars and maybe a couple of travelers to come in and set up their stuff for that 250.
Yes, certainly. It's very interesting. We had these 2 weeks back-to-back with the super late models out there, and I think we are, like you said, I think you're going to see a fair amount of travelers over the next 2 weeks at different points based on what their schedules are coming in to run, to learn the racetrack, to learn the track in the heat. Obviously, a hot day today, going to be a hot weekend as well that we're going to have, and probably matching some of the conditions that we're going to be able to expect in August as well. So I think these are 2 weeks that if you are a big fan of the super late model racing and like seeing those travelers especially coming in, I think it's going to be really fascinating races. Obviously, it's going to be our second and third weeks also of the new after 35-lap competition caution, which kind of mixes up the racing. We've already seen that a little bit and mimics a little bit of the 250 with the 50-lap comp yellows that we see there.
Yeah, so you're going to see guys and set things up and maybe not to get too technical here, Nate, but the interesting part about the 75-lap features, those are the quote-unquote main events of the night. So those will be as close as we can get to nightfall, because usually we start the 250, even the Money in the Bank, we start that around 8 o'clock, 8:30, so still quite a bit of sunshine out. So the drivers go through the progression of the track as it goes on, where the 75-lapper is typically we're going around 9:30, where it's a little bit more darkness, a little bit more cloud cover maybe. So you're kind of getting those last 75 laps, if you will, that you see in the 250 that we're going to see in the next couple weeks.
And it's the only time, talking about why travelers like to come here for races like that, it's the only time that they're able to run at night, because even if you just come for the practice day Tuesday, which the day before the 250, which is one of, frankly, my favorite days of the year to watch them run all day and develop some of the storylines and stuff, but you can only learn so much running in the heat and just a little bit into the twilight that day. If you want to come and have a car that is fully prepared to run in all stages of the 250, you have to be able to do that at night, and these next 2 weeks are really the only chance to do that.
Yeah, those will be some really good racing. And like I said, we got the points battle coming up. But before we get to that and before we get to Erik Jones, let's take a quick look back at what happened this past Saturday night, Nate. Some great racing. We had some little more open wheel action after the Supermod weekend. That's successful. We had the 500 Sprint Car Tour. And, yeah, you see there on your bottom left, surprise, surprise, Tyler Rohrig wins. I will say, though, Nate, that race, I stuck around to watch it. It was a lot closer than I think many expected. There wasn't a late caution that jumbled up the track. Cody Swanson, I think, we talked to him last week, and maybe we're giving some drivers some luck here when they come on Trackside Live. Right. He was able to keep it close and not make it as easy for Rohrig, who's now won all 6 feature races for the 500 Sprint Car Tour here.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible what Tyler Rohrig has done with, again, since this series was founded, he's the only guy to win it. Also, you count in the win streak that he's on in the Outlaws right now. I don't know what's the total, up to like 9 straight races. I guess there would have been one Outlaw race in there he lost potentially.
I think the 2023 Battle he raced.
Okay.
It was either the Battle or the Money in the Bank in 23. He ran the Lee Van Dyke car.
That's
so
right.
he ran a car that was really fast in practice, fast in qualifying, 75 laps, and kind of takered out on him. But outside of that, if you exclude template racing, he's been one of the best drivers here at Berlin Raceway. You saw there on the graphic as well, we had the limited late models in action. Josh Fry and Billy Epping, the two good friends, winning the two races there. Huge win there for Josh Fry. He had I know he finished second the week before during Supermod weekend, but then had a ninth place finish. It kind of probably left a little bit of a sour taste in his mouth. Ran two good races this Saturday, and kind of you could tell after that win he felt a lot more confident in his car than he had been in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he told me in Victory Lane, that I believe the words he used was that we sucked last week, I think is what he said to me. And yeah,
Josh Fry, ever the poet.
Yeah, right. And they were off the pace certainly of what we expected. Got back out. They actually stretched that championship points lead a little bit as well, even with Billy Epping winning the first of the two features. That's going to be the story though the rest of the years. We have seen that points lead grow a little bit in the limited late models. It was our closest heading into the weekend. I think it's going to stay razor thin. And I would not be surprised if in this stretch run we do see some swapping of the top spot and the points really start to happen.
Well, the thing was, and we were talking about the points there, Tim Green was only just a few points back heading into Saturday night. He ran okay. He was there to have a podium finish in the second race, but then tailed off and finished outside the top five. But you see Nick DeLongpre there. He didn't win this past weekend. He won during Supermod weekend, but he's had a couple of good runs as of late, some consistency now. So now he's challenging. And it's just that's a really fun one to watch. All of the series are fun to watch for sure. You take a look. We mentioned the super late models. They have a few races left this season. Austin Hall, that win a couple weeks back, that was huge for him. That opened things up. But you see the 41-point gap. That's a good qualifying session and a good race from being swept away. Because Brian Campbell, we know how good he can be in qualifying. I know it's been tough for him this year. But if he can figure that out and get a good feature race in here in the next couple weeks leading to the battle, which is, as far as we know, is if it's just like Money in the Bank, it's still a points race for us here at Berlin. That can be some huge confidence building for him down the stretch.
Oh, we know that's exactly can be made up, the 41 points in one race, because that lead was built entirely in one race because they were tied going into the last feature of the year. So we certainly know that 41 points pretty easily with not a bad day from Brian Campbell. Obviously we can say just a really good one from Hall, winning the race with a good qualifying effort, erased or created that gap, I should say, right away. So how easy is it to turn that right around with just a little bit of a bad night for the 20, good night for the 47, or for Terry Seneker, who's right there? It's another championship that is not anywhere near done yet.
And one championship that is an ongoing battle is actually the mini wedges. We saw a first-time winner this past Saturday in the juniors. Yep, J.J. Yonker in a very fierce battle. You and I called that race, beating out his brother Xander. I will say this: when Xander was running up to his car, I'm just so programmed whenever I see another driver who lost a race to go after someone's car, not in a good way, but they were celebrating. The brothers going 1-2. That was a cool moment to be there in victory lane for.
Yeah, and I mean those two guys again. Cass Tremble has been dominant in the juniors, and they completely held him off. Had a lot of speed, and I mean the two Yonker boys, boy, they went at it too. I mean Xander was knocking on the bumper going in before restarts quite often as well. They put on a heck of a show, and then Jackson Cook has found his groove. I know talking to Jackson, they had a lot of speed the first couple races of the year, just couldn't put the pieces together. He's now won back-to-back. I think Jackson's got the confidence that he has a chance to maybe go on a championship-type run now.
And a great run also for Kenzie Epping, her first podium finish as well. So Dad wins the feature race for the limited late models. He's one of the two, and daughter finished on the podium for the first time. Not a bad night. We were supposed to actually have the mini wedges here, so we probably could have seen Billy, but unfortunately this lovely 100-degree heat index we have here at Berlin Raceway tonight, it's a little uncomfortable. Maybe we can ask Erik Jones about that. I mean, hey, Erik, I know you have the nice Cup Series cars, but your template cars, when it gets hot out, how bad is it? Because we've talked to like Austin Hall and stuff, and I ask him how bad it is. Like, well, 75 laps can be kind of tough, but no, it's a nice hot one here tonight. But I mean, it's going to be hot all year long, and we have hot action on the track too. Before we have a few more minutes here before we get to Erik Jones. Kind of looking at the upcoming weekend, we have the VROAs coming out here this Saturday night. That'll be a fun one. So we get to see Dave Sensible once again, Dave Cutler, and pretty good performances the last few weeks from Tony Davis in that 77 Teague car. We also have the Baker Auto Group Sportsman Series as well, and the four cylinders. Four cylinders, that championship's kind of being held right now by Justin Roloffs under lock and key. But that Sportsman Series, we talk about the 40 points with having double features and qualifying. Josh Fry has the lead in that series, and heading into last week, we thought, okay, maybe the limited's where he has to focus now. But with Ryan Holtzlander starting to get his car a little bit faster, I think that that championship race might tighten up if Fry were to slip up in the 44 car.
Certainly would, and I think the 2 car for Holtzlander got the win a couple weeks ago. It's a car that certainly they've had great speed all year long. I mean, we know the championship run that he put up last year. He's had that sort of speed. It's just been there is such a depth of competition. If you have some slight issues that are in a lot of ways out of your control, certainly that it's going to make the championship fight harder. He's starting to get back in it. It's such a deep field that is nowhere. As we maybe pull up the right one, that is nowhere near done. Brian Tomey's run well as well. So
Kevin Ford's been winning this year too.
Yeah, so that certainly is completely up for grabs, and will, as always, put on a great show with great racing this Saturday.
It's going to be a fun one for sure. One thing also about Saturday night, for the first time this season, I believe, off the top of my head, we'll have an autograph session at 6 o'clock. We'll have an early super late model qualifying at 5:40, 6 o'clock autograph session. Nate, myself, Ryan, and Matt will all be downstairs talking to the drivers, kind of getting a feel for things, and obviously maybe feel the heat that you guys feel every week in the pits, and we won't be able to Matt and I won't be able to hide up in our nice air-conditioned booth.
There's going to be the rain that's going to move through Friday. I'm just hoping it's going to knock down. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm just hoping. I'm telling myself it's going to knock down a little bit of the humidity. It's going to be a little bit better.
It's got to be the humidity, because if it's the heat and it stays humid, it'll still stink. But if it knocks away the humidity, because earlier today, for example, it was 80-some degrees about 10 o'clock this morning, but it didn't have the humidity. But now we have the humidity, and now it feels miserable here. And that's just us, and I'm in my shorts and T-shirt, and you're still wearing pants and closed-toe shoes. So, I mean, I'd be sweating like a pig if I were if I chose your garment.
I might be, but I was in an air-conditioned office today.
Oh, see, now.
And then,
I guess I live in my office, my home office, so whatever I pay. If I was at someone else's house or someone else's place, I'd crank the AC. But it's in my house, and I'm safe. I'm a dad now, where I literally feel like if I feel someone touch the thermostat, I'm like, I have to change it back. I'm trying to save as much money as possible. But then my wife gives me crap because I water the grass all the time.
The thing is, the paint. Here's how I speak away. Our paint shop at where I work, sometimes we have to put parts that were painting satin black, and they turn white essentially when it's this hot and humid out. They have to go in my office. So it's a sacrifice I have to make sometimes if they go in my office.
I would.
That's how I explain it.
See, that's how I'd work into my contract. I would have a second office or something to avoid.
I will ask my dad about that on my next contract.
Hey, Dad, can I just not be in here when you do? That's probably why, because you're the son. I'm like, Nate will be fine. Just throw it in there.
I normally have to run out. You'd think I would have a better tolerance to paint and stuff, and I don't after 25 years in the industry.
I don't think I could either. But we're going to take a break, folks, because on the other side, we're going to talk to NASCAR Cup Series driver Erik Jones, talk about this coming weekend, Brickyard 400 for the Cup Series, but also the battle at Berlin coming up next month. Stay tuned here on Facebook Live. You're watching Trackside Live at Berlin. And welcome back, folks, to Trackside Live here on Facebook Live at Berlin Raceway. Getting set for an exciting weekend of racing here at Berlin, but we got a lot of great action all across the country and next month at the Battle at Berlin. And one of the drivers you're going to see in the Tecton 250 next month from Byron, Michigan, a NASCAR Cup Series driver of the 43 machine for Legacy Motor Club. It's Erik Jones. Erik, how are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Uh, Before we get to the super late model program you got here, Erik, I do got to ask you this coming Sunday, one of the premier events for the NASCAR Cup Series, the Brickyard 400. It's a fun race to follow as a fan. I got to ask you, how excited are you to be involved in another, going back to the old for the second year in a row, going to one of the most historic places in all of sports?
I always look forward to it. It was, kind of sad when the few years we didn't get to run on the oval. So I was pretty happy to get to go back last year and do that again. So, obviously anytime you get to run one of those marquee races through the schedule, means a little bit more, no different than the short track side of things. And so when we get to go there and race on the oval, it always adds in a little extra incentive, but, excited to get there and just have a shot to compete in that race. And that's one that, for me, I mean, obviously Michigan, we didn't too far away from that world. And so it would mean a lot to be able to go there and win.
Yeah, tell us about the 43 program. The last couple of months here, I know you guys have been able to find quite a bit more speed, especially throughout the month of June, and been able to turn some things around. So where is the confidence heading into this next stretch of, running ovals, maybe running tracks like Indy, where you ran pretty well at Pocono, a somewhat similar track? Where is your and the team's confidence right now as you head into this next stretch and, hopefully look to make a push for the playoffs?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, we've obviously been quicker. These last few weeks have been a bit of a struggle for us, but some of the road course stuff has been tough for us. And Dover was another tough one, but hopefully Indy can kind of get things back on track. But before that, a good stretch of really a month and a half, 2 months of just good races, running well, having speed, running up front, getting a lot of points, and just having some success. So, it's been a big change over the last year and a half of switching to Toyota and kind of dialing things in on that end and getting our equipment back to where we want it to be. So it's always nice to see that progress and see some success in that through that hard work. So, I hope Indy is one that's a good one for us. Even last year, it was a place we ran pretty well at. So we'll see how it goes at the end of the day. But, over the last few months, been happy with the progress we've made, and we're making those steps to become, a team that consistently runs top 10 and then to be on there, hopefully top 5 and getting to that point where we can contend for wins. So, we'll keep working, but definitely happy with the progress right now.
Yeah, I left that off the resume. Three-time Cup Series race winner, Erik Jones. But, Erik, let's kind of trace it back here to the short track scene here. Coming back to Berlin, the Battle at Berlin, a race you have won twice, and you're one of just a few drivers who have won both the Money in the Bank and the Battle at Berlin, the two premier events and two of the crown jewel events of the late model scene across the country. What does it mean for you to come back to a track like Berlin, a guy that you got your start at, running ARCA and obviously running some local series as well, kind of with the premier events? What does it mean to come back to a track like Berlin?
Yeah, I ran there a bunch, obviously, as a younger kid, and then as I got older and got into the NASCAR stuff, continued to kind of run there, and then today still coming back and doing that. It's just always been a track that's high on my list of favorite places to go. It's a challenging track, but it's somewhere that you can race, and it's not a place you got to beat and bang and knock people out of the way. You can, if you're a better car or faster at the moment, you can make your way forward, and there's some tire conservation in there as well. So it's just a fun track, but I obviously enjoy coming in there and racing. But yeah, I mean, hope to add some more. I mean, this is a big one for us, the 250. We don't get to late model race a ton through the year. Maybe 5 or 6 races is kind of all, that I get to do through the year. But always just enjoy getting back there. I've got a shop up there now that's only, 5 or 10 minutes from the track. So it's been a place that I grew up not far from and raced a bunch at and had some success at, and just love, honestly, still racing against the local guys there that I grew up racing. They're getting thin at this point, I won't lie. But there's still a few guys there that are still running that I raced against when I was younger with Brian and Terry every once in a while. So it's still fun to get to go up and race those guys when they do show up.
Yeah, looking, this is a really interesting race. I think we've been setting up now. When you look back at the 150, the way that the cars ran, the way that you look at the tire fall off, one of the interesting things in the 250 last year was this big mix of strategy. Some guys on a couple 3-tire stops, some, doing 2 and 4 and mixing the strategy. And when you look at the way the track ran back in June, do you think it's going to be a race here in August that's really mixed up again, or do we just have to, as normal with Berlin, wait for what those conditions are going to be like to have an idea?
Yeah, it's a little bit different every time. It's definitely changed a lot with this tire compared to what we used to do back in the day. Obviously, it used to be a super high tire wear track, and kind of anytime you could put tires on, you had to take that opportunity and do it as late as you could. Now with the tire we run, it seems like you can kind of cool the tire back down and have an opportunity to hold off even guys on some new tires that if they got to work through some traffic, they might have warmed their stuff up enough to where they can't get around you. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the cautions have to fall right, obviously, to have kind of that unique strategy, but overall, it's definitely a different game than what it's been. You can run quite a bit harder than what you could in the past. It doesn't seem like you quite have to save as much tire. It's not quite the game of chess as what it used to be, maybe 10 years ago. Running these races, it was just a game of who could save the most tire and go at the right time and have the right balance for that old tire. And now it's kind of just who, I think we saw a lot in the 150 with Carson. He just, had a really good car and he could run hard the whole time and really kind of drive away from the field. So it's definitely changed. And I think if you could see the cautions fall right, you could see some pretty unique strategy.
I actually want to ask you about that, Eric, because I'd love to hear your comparison for those that might not know the technical side of a Cup car. What kind of track would you say that's on the Cup Series circuit, or maybe that you ran in the Xfinity Series, that is a track where you can kind of go full tilt, or at least maybe 75-80% of the time you don't have to try to save your stuff? Is there any NASCAR track that you've seen like that with the cars you've raced?
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot over the years, especially with the tires that we've had over the last 10 years, and it's changing a bit now. We've kind of gotten to some more higher tire wear situations here as we're going on, but Bristol was always a place we could run hard and not really worry too much about tires, obviously it's a little bit extreme compared to Berlin, but Bristol is a place you can run pretty hard and not have to worry too much about it. Texas, kind of the way Texas is right now, it's a good probably mix of how you can run pretty hard and tires are still worth a little bit and more each year. So it's just kind of interesting to see how the tires change. And honestly, I feel like it's kind of consistent between late models and even NASCAR, the way that these tires change over the years of how they wear out and how heat's related and how actual tread wear is related. It's kind of interesting to see how it plays out. So it changes every time. This tire, this McCreary tire is one that I've been on for a couple of years now at Berlin and gotten more and more used to, but it's definitely very different from the Hoosier we used to run there years ago.
Yeah, as we get a little bit closer here to wrapping things up, want to look back here at the 250 again. So back in June, you were fast qualifier, certainly the car, and I believe a new chassis that you guys have been breaking in, starting to show some speed. What are some of the main things that you and the team are looking at and hoping to be able to get out of the race car differently to be able to win over 250 laps in a few weeks here?
Yeah, obviously it's challenging. I try to get up there and test when I can, and I was going to come up there and weather kind of hurt us. And I had to cancel, but yeah, it was interesting. I haven't I haven't set fast time in many years in a super late model, and I was kind of almost worried after we did in the spring race there, the 150. Just knowing that we had a lot of speed, but wasn't too sure about our long run speed. But I felt like we, at least had a list of things after that race that we could kind of work on and make better. And it is a new car for us compared to what we've ran the last 2 years. So we're all, kind of learning about it. I'm learning about it definitely for sure. So there's a lot different on it than what I'm used to and trying to figure out what it kind of wants and needs and what makes it happy over a long run. So I feel like we have a bigger notebook for sure. Um, we'll be running a few races here in August coming up besides the 250 to learn a little bit about it. So I'm excited for that. But I feel like we have a good notebook of things to work on. And for me, on my side of things, driving, knowing what I need to a little bit better feel in practice to be good in the race.
I want to mention that because you mentioned your August schedule coming up here for the super late models. I mean, you're a guy that's won a lot of the major super late model races across the country. You've won the Snowball, you've won the Winchester 400 and whatnot. I got to ask, for some people that might be general sports fans, it would be like, I don't know, someone in the NBA come and play in like a Rucker Park or something like that. I mean, what is the drive for someone of your stature? And I know guys like Kyle Larson does it and a lot of other Cup Series guys to go back to the local tracks, to the super late model scene where you kind of cut your teeth when you were younger. Why do guys like yourself and others keep going back to something like this?
Well, I think these marquee super races, it's as hard to win one of those. It's almost comparable to a cup race. I mean, it's super challenging on, getting the car right and having a good race and putting everything together. So that challenge is fun and just running something totally different. The cup side of things is obviously it's at the end of the day, it's my job, right? And it's what I do to make a living. This for me is fun. It's my almost a golf game isn't the right way to describe it, but it's more fun for me just to go and do this and work with a group that I've known for a long time. These guys are guys I've worked with through my whole life in racing. So there's just a lot of enjoyment out of it and a lot of pride, I guess, that I take in it to go and still try to run well and run with these guys and run up front. I think at the end of the day, it's kind of a pride thing for me to be able to go and do it and still short track race and super late model racing. I don't know. It always just has a spot for me in my heart, and I think it'll, kind of always be that way.
That's awesome, Erik. You'll be able to see, folks, Erik Jones, August 13th, the Tecton 250 Battle at Berlin. Erik, thank you very much for taking your time. Good luck this weekend at the Brickyard, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with more here from Trackside Live at Berlin. Welcome back, folks, to Trackside Live here on Facebook Live and YouTube if you're watching us on Thursday and or later. Tyler Kuehl, Nate Dreyer, and huge thanks once again to the driver of the 43 car, Erik Jones, for joining us here to talk about a little NASCAR and a little bit about the Tecton 250 Battle at Berlin. Nate, obviously that's a huge event we have looking up here. We have a nice little event coming on this Saturday. I know the heat might not be quite showing it, but we have Christmas in July we're celebrating. Santa Claus is going to come down to Berlin Raceway in 80-some-odd degree heat wearing all of his gitch. And I will tell you what, the last year, and, of course, we'll have our reindeer out here, our mascot, to be along with Santa. I want to give Santa a hug and tell him it's okay, and we apologize. And it's, obviously tough being that Santa, but I feel like if I hug him, it'll be too warm and he'll melt.
It's I'm probably going to melt, so I'm sure he will.
But that's how racing is in the summertime, right?
Yeah.
That's why, I know they're in, Watkins Glen next month for the Cup Series. That's always a hot weekend, whether it be in June, July, or August. You're upstate New York. You're out there. You're in the humid air. It's worse than it is here.
As we always talk about, we do run at night, too. The bulk of our show.
Yes.
If you get to 7 o'clock, it's fine. It just is those of us that are here before the fans get here, wandering around the pits beforehand. That's when it's hot.
I will say that is the one thing that's nice about this track, because when I first started coming here as a kid, we joke about it on the broadcast, Matt and I, but the trees that are off the backstretch, they were honestly shorter. So the sun would be there, honestly, till 9 o'clock, it felt like some nights. So it was all in where the sun sets, it kind of gets right in your face. But nowadays, 8:30, it'll still be bright outside, but it won't be as hot. The sun will be behind the trees. It makes it a lot more comfortable. Right behind that right next to that deer stand back there off the backstretch. This Saturday, the band that's going to be playing here after the races get done sounds familiar. No, that is the band name, not the music they play. It does sound familiar. First 75 adults will get a 75th edition Berlin Raceway Christmas ornament to boot as well. Maybe we might have to put on disguises and get some of those. I need some more stuff for my Christmas tree, because I'm one of those people that goes nuts around Christmas time. When it's Christmas time, though, I should specify that. I am a Thanksgiving, Black Friday to December 26th. I give it Boxing Day for one extra day of celebration. After that, I like to celebrate it in that time frame.
Boxing Day, you dropped a Z on us the other week too. That was something.
Well, Boxing Day for me being a hockey guy, that's the start of the World Junior Tournament. So that's another it's like two holidays in one for me. 6:30 start time for the races, and like you saw there in the graphic, 6 o'clock autograph session will be down there, so you can find us and kick us while we're trying to interview people. We will do our best to be professional and stick with it, because that's what we do. We get the job done.
Just don't touch the cameras, please.
Oh yeah,
they're very nice. They're doing some really, really cool work down there with the wireless. Just don't touch them. You can touch us. You can wait,
hold on. You can bug us. You can hit Nate. You just can't. Don't touch the camera, people.
Yes,
that's
please.
very expensive. We are what is it? Affordable?
Disposable.
We're disposable. Thank you. Let's say we're affordable. I'm like, no, I think. Dylan Holtslander says, "Can I call dibs on an ornament?" I don't know, Dylan. You're here, Dylan Holtslander, one of the tech guys down on pit road. He's seeing if he can get an ornament. Just come back around, Dylan. I mean, unfortunately, he's an easy guy to recognize, because he's got a big old afro he's kind of grown out over the summer. It looks kind of like, if he was like 1974, he'd look like he was going to a disco.
Yeah, right.
That's how we describe it. Andrew Harding says, "Yes, please don't touch me." Andrew Harding's one of our camera guys, says, "Please don't touch him." Yes, we like our space, our personal space. Coming up, let's look ahead here a little bit to the upcoming schedule here, Nate.
Yes.
Obviously, this Saturday, next 2 weeks, huge weeks here for the super late model scene, because we have the back-to-back tests coming up for the Battle at Berlin. But you see that August 9th there, or sorry, I should lead with August 2nd. That's Hall of Fame night.
Yep.
We'll be inducting two of the greats that we've had here at Berlin Raceway. Not going to spoil anything yet.
You and Matt?
Yeah, Matt and I. If we go to the Hall of Fame, that'll be a tainted Hall of Fame. You'd be like, they put Pete Rose in, but we don't need to get into a different discussion with different sports too much here. Big night there, super late models, limited late models. The compact touring series comes back, so you see a good mix of R4 cylinders against some traveling 4 cylinders. Unfortunately, that means no Ryan Ham, though. He'll be on his boat.
You're right.
But one of my favorite traveling series, the Midwest Classic Racers Dwarf Cars, will be back, and I'm excited.
Yes.
Like them and that midget race we forgot to mention Ayrton Hook winning. That was his first feature race for the Kenya Midget Series this past Saturday. Those cars, midgets and the dwarf cars, it's because their size and it's because how quick they can be on our track. When they go on short tracks, it's a little bit tighter, but those cars can go flat out at our track, and the way those guys can move, it's so much fun. So that's why I'm so excited for the dwarfs, and that's why I was excited for the midgets.
No, my pitch to Jeff Striegel is, let's run a 200-lap MCR dwarf. I don't know if they can make it that long. 200-lap MCR dwarf car. Make it like however much would be the highest paid dwarf car race in history to win.
Well, what was the car that I saw Keelan Harvick driving this past week?
Probably a legend car.
Yeah. Can we find like a hybrid setup for those two series to come together? Because you get like 30 of those cars and get someone like Keelan. Van Gisbergen was running that race
Scott
too.
McLaughlin, Bubba Wallace all run it together.
Yeah. Like, that's you know what? Next year 250. We'll have the Battle at Berlin 250, and we'll have the little 250, I guess, and by emphasis on little. August 9th, we're so excited to have the must-see Racing Wing Sprints come back as well. We get to see Jacob Seelman come back and call the races with us there, and we'll probably see
a packed night, isn't it? Holy cow.
Yeah, thinking about that. Yeah, you'll see the compact touring series come back, the limited late models, the 4 cylinders, and the VROAs. Well, it looks bad because you said 4 cylinders with the national compacts. That's probably why it looks bad.
Oh, yeah, that's why.
But, yes, we'll have VROAs back once again. The sprint cars, so we might see Tyler Rogue there for that again. We'll see, maybe. I forgot to ask Cody Swanson about this last week. We hope he comes back in that number 50 car. Because remember that car that was really fast during qualifying, set fast time, and then broke before during the heat races. I hope he gets a second shot at that because that would make it a really interesting race. But that all leads, of course, to the Tecton Tools Battle at Berlin 250. Registration open for that race. We'll be starting to call out some names. And obviously, as we just interviewed the guy, Erik Jones. He did a pretty good job of telling us he's going to be there.
Yeah, I think he's in.
I think he's in for sure. $40,000 to win. The practice, of course, we'll have the car show as well as the pre-race party. And Nate and I will be out there as well talking to some of the big names, some of the drivers you will see in the 250 on Wednesday night. That practice is on Tuesday. We'll have more details when we get a little bit closer.
And as I said, obviously everyone, people have to work and whatever too, and you can't necessarily be there all day. But in terms of like with the car show, the kind of, if you can make it for like the end of the practice day, into the car show, into the pre-race party that night, I think Sushi Roll, which is one of our bigger bands, I believe is going to be there that night. Like that is truly one of my favorite days. I mean, for me, if you want to find me, I'll be sitting somewhere in the infield to have my scanner on, trying to pick up stories and pick up things for the next day.
And that's when you have to mess with Nate. When he's trying to focus and try to do work, that's when you get in his face because he will love that.
Please do that. Please.
That's why it's nice I'm in my booth, and I don't think people in the suites know where we are, so they never come in, they never bother us. The only people that bother us is Jeff, but that's his job to bother us. Now, down on pit road, you have drivers, you have tech people, you have Red, and you have I guess that's about it, people that will bother you, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of the amount of people that told me to stay away from the flooded pond last week because I'm probably too short, I'm going to drown, would be a higher number than you would think it would be. Actually, you probably wouldn't.
Was it Jadlin and Andrew that were giving it to you?
No, I had drivers and different people. Too, but I'm about
to say, we have a couple drivers that would probably be in that same realm of, they might be knee-deep in the water there.
I'm trying to get used to these stock car drivers because they're definitely bigger than, like, the IndyCar world I come from where, like, Santino Ferrucci is 5'2".
You can't be tall
you physically
in the IndyCar.
unless you're Graham Rahal.
Yeah.
But he's hurt because of it because he is heavy. Actually, I think McLaughlin weighs more than him now, but, like, because they wind up actually getting penalized with how they can mess with the weight in that car and weight distribution stuff.
Yeah, same thing with like Formula One's a little bit that way as well. Jalen says I'm taller. Well, we were having that discussion later on. That's a lovely inside gag.
Disagree.
Yes. You guys can fight it out on Saturday, all right? Who's taller and who's not. But before we wrap things up here, Nate, you had something you told me.
Oh, yes. So last week we have a new segment. It's the Learning Center.
Oh, my God. Oh, no.
So this is the Learning Center with Tyler Kuehl.
Oh,
so you're going to get to run this show. So I know obviously you're really big on, your son is way smarter than all of us already, and you're really big on making sure that he knows his things. So we want to do a little bit of a geometry lesson today on learn your shapes. So if you can just take everyone through what these shapes are.
Well, the one in the top left, that's a circle.
Okay.
That is a centrifugal thing that turns into a sphere when it's three-dimensional. And the one on the top right, it's a square, 4 sides, all equilateral, all 90-degree angles. The triangle is 3 sides, and those angles have to equal up to 180 degrees, whether it's an equilateral triangle, a right triangle, or an isosceles triangle. I did get an A in geometry. And then your bottom right is supposed to be a rhombus because if anyone who watched the Flow Racing broadcast, a rounded rhombus. When we were doing during qualifying before our show on Saturday night, we were discussing what kind of line cars take at Berlin, and I attempted to draw a rhombus on our telestrator with my finger, and as you can tell by the yellow lines on that screen, it did not turn out to be a rhombus. In theory, if I drew it properly, you'd understand. It's a rounded rhombus. You pretty much go straight lines coming out of the corners. You don't really drive in a circle or drive on the low line. Unfortunately, my finger got a little twitchy on my device, and the car ended up going into the trees like it was a scene from Driven.
Go to his social media. It's not under his name there because you posted a video of it as well. If you missed it, it was quite – what you couldn't see was off camera. I was watching this. I was in turn 3. I was watching this happen on the video board while you're doing it, and both me and Andrew, who was running camera for me that night, were like on the ground laughing. Andrew had no idea what was going on. He just sees the lines
because he couldn't hear. Yeah.
And I just like watching this happen. And the fact that we've been so excited, and this is so cool that we have a telestrator, and then that's how it went.
That was terrible. Jackson Cook says Tyler's outline says that it looks like somebody's head. Savannah Frizzle asking, are tickets still available? Yes, Savannah, tickets are available. Kids 15 and under free for every single race this season. You can get your tickets discounted online if you buy them online before Saturday at berlinraceway.com/buy/tickets. Andrew was kind enough to put a link there in the Facebook chat.
He's on it, man.
Andrew is on it for us today. He's driving the chat today. And if you guys ever watch us, if you are watching us on YouTube, join us on Wednesday nights here on Trackside Live, because then you can interact with us and debate who's taller, Nate or Jalen, because apparently that's the topic of discussion for the week. You weren't there for that.
No.
You left right after the sprint car race. But that is probably a good way to end this bombshell as I go with my best Jeremy Clarkson impression. That is it for this week. Remember, folks, this Saturday, 6:30, the green flag dropping, 6 o'clock autograph session, the super late models, the VROAs, lots of great action coming up this weekend at Berlin Raceway. So we hope you can be there for it. For Nate Dreyer, for myself, Tyler Kuehl, saying thank you all very much for watching this edition of Trackside Live on Facebook Live. We will see you this Saturday at Berlin, and we'll catch us on Flow Racing. And next week, we get ready for more super late model action, getting ready for the battle at Berlin. So long, folks.